Breaking news. The EAEU summit is where Russian and Central Asian leaders discuss energy and North-South trade. During their annual summit on May 25 in Moscow, Eurasian Economic Union (EAEU) leaders discussed strengthening energy ties and expanding North-South trade as Russia continues its strategic break with Europe. Russia, isolated from Europe by Western sanctions, is looking to deepen ties with its southern and eastern neighbors. Russia's Vladimir Putin, Belarus's Alexander Lukashenko, Kazakhstan's Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, and Kyrgyzstan's Sadir Japarov, as well as Armenia's Nikol Pashinyan, are all attending the EAEU summit. Russia's new foreign policy concept emphasizes the EAEU as a means to re-establish economic ties with the West and gain access to the vast markets of Southeast Asia. Eurasian integration in a multipolar world, the forum's theme, is very timely. Putin said during the plenary session that the document covers the most important issues the Eurasian Union is addressing today in terms of creating favorable conditions for the EAEU economies and the development of cooperation throughout Eurasia. Although it has been suggested that Russia's influence in Central Asia is dwindling, Russia's continued clout was on display at the EAEU summit given the region's continued reliance on Russian energy, investment, and security guarantees. The point was driven home when the Central Asian leaders and Pashinyan of Armenia all made the trip to Moscow to join Putin on the podium for the May 9 Victory Day parade in Red Square. In his opening remarks, President Putin highlighted the importance of ensuring reliable access to energy and food, as well as achieving financial and technological independence, undergoing a digital transformation, and improving transportation infrastructure. Putin said in his opening remarks, "We will focus on ways to ensure energy and food security, as well as technological and financial self-sufficiency, boost digital transformation processes, remove regulatory and trade barriers, and develop transport infrastructure." There has been consistent growth in trade within the EAEU. Putin stated that trade in 2022 increased by 14% to $83.3 billion. The Union's international initiatives, including its efforts to deepen its trade and economic ties with third countries and work more closely with regional organizations, were discussed at length by the heads of state. In line with Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, to improve communication links between Asia and Europe, Eurasia is also of strategic importance to China, which did not attend the meeting. The 5 presidents of Central Asia have just returned from a meeting in Xi'an, where they met with President Xi Jinping of China in a so-called 5+1 format to discuss strengthening ties between the two countries. China's increasing economic commitment to the region has resulted in a flurry of investment deals being signed in the days leading up to the meeting. Central Asian and Caucasian ties with Moscow are heavily dependent on the energy sector. Uzbekistan, in particular, experienced a severe energy crisis this winter and is currently negotiating an agreement to import Russian gas to make up for its deficit. To this day, the majority of Armenia's gas imports come from Russia. The nominally liberal President Pashinyan has gone out of his way to build close ties with the Kremlin and secure advantageous energy deals since he was swept to office in the Velvet Revolution in 2018. Additional plans to pool energy resources are one of the topics to be discussed. Nikolai Shulganov, Russia's Minister of Energy, has said that talks are ongoing about projects within the framework of a trilateral gas union between Russia, Kazakhstan, and Uzbekistan. The plan calls for Russian gas to be shipped through these countries' territory in an effort to align economic goals. Uzbekistan initially rejected proposals in December to form a gas union out of concern for growing energy dependence on Russia. However, the country now appears to be warming to the idea. The gas union plan, as described by Shulganov, is at the discussion stage at present. Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev has stressed the importance of developing the North-South corridor. The president of Kazakhstan stated that this corridor has the potential to transform the transport structure of Eurasia, providing a vital link for global logistics. This corridor runs parallel to the Trans-Caspian International Transportation Corridor, which runs along the equator. Tokayev elaborated by saying, This is why we see significant synergy in coordinated and systemic development of both routes. These pathways are capable of fundamentally changing the level of cooperation and interaction within the huge Eurasia. So the author writes, this is not only the area of growth for industry, transport, economy. The corridor's ultimate goal is to increase the volume of trade between India, Iran, and the Persian Gulf countries and Europe via Russian territory. India has invested roughly $2.1 billion in the project to improve transportation in Iran, which is just one of many countries that have contributed to the endeavor. Putin stated that there is a greater urgency to develop international corridors and create new sustainable logistics chains. Recently, our Iranian partners and we came to an agreement on constructing the Risht-Astara railway. This will allow for the connection of Russian Baltic ports to Iranian Gulf and Indian Ocean ports. Putin has stated that work on the new line will begin this year. To that end, we are working closely with Azerbaijan on this corridor. Putin continued, we hope that the relevant trilateral documents, including the Agreement on Cooperation to Develop Railway Infrastructure and Freight Shipments along the North-South Corridor, will be drafted and signed with Azerbaijan's participation as soon as possible. The EAEU members, according to Russia's president, are also trying to stop using the currencies of unfriendly countries in trade settlements. We expect annual shipment volumes of up to 30 million tons of cargo once this route is fully operational. This railroad will be competitive with existing shipping lanes for cargo movement. To put it another way, it will allow us to create tens of thousands of jobs and open more opportunities for the development of all EAEU member countries by facilitating new regional transport hubs and production centers throughout Eurasia. The leading emerging markets, EMs, are working to deepen commercial and financial ties independently from the West, and the logistical ties are a part of this growing cooperation between an emerging BRICS bloc. I'd like to stress how crucial it is that the vast majority of people involved in international communication agree with these methods. And it's not just lip service, they actually support this stance. Putin told attendees at the forum that Russia actively collaborates with major international associations like the BRICS, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, the Cooperation Council for the Arab States of the Gulf, and multilateral organizations in Latin America and Africa. Russia's dedication to bolstering regional cooperation and expanding its economic influence beyond European borders was on full display at the EAEU summit.